Hello, my loves. It's Tiffany, the Miracles Coach. Happy July. I know we're a little bit into the month already. And I actually already posted a Miracles Unscripted episode this month, but it was all pre-recorded. So I didn't get to give you all of this half-year energy that I am feeling. I'm super excited about July. I'm super excited about entering the second half of the year. Listen, y'all, let me tell y'all something about the second half of the year. And I'm probably getting into a whole bunch of other messages that I want to talk about, but y'all know how I get when I just come in because I'm feeling the energy, I'm feeling the vibes, and I have to let the fire out. So I was just thinking about July, thinking about second halves of the year. And I want you guys to remember that, first of all, God can accelerate a specific time in your life. He can catapult. He can, you know how sometimes, and I know you might be feeling this, because if you are in the same space that I'm in right now, you might be feeling very pulled back, like a freaking, what do they call those things? Slingshots? Oh my God. I'm being stretched. I'm telling you right now, I'm stretched to capacity at this point. I don't think that it would be possible to stretch any more than what I'm being stretched right now. So if you're in that place and you feel that, trust me, I feel you. I'm right there with you. Okay. But when you get stretched and you get pulled back so far that you feel like you're going to snap, that's when God can catapult you and just let that thing go, and everything starts to come into fruition. Everything starts to happen. Miracles start to overtake you. Okay. I've been in this place many times, so I'm not afraid of this place. And I think that is the whole point of this place. When you get to a place where this place doesn't scare you anymore, where you don't feel like, why is this happening to me, God? Because I told y'all I was there a couple weeks ago. It's why does this keep happening? Why do I have to keep going through this same stuff? When is it going to be my turn to have the things that I want to have? Now, sometimes, I've had, not now, not anymore, okay? But sometimes I've had a hard time with this because, like I tell you guys all the time, I live a beautiful, blessed life. People who would look at my life on the outside would be like, girl, what in the world do you have to complain about? But there is just an inner knowing. You get to a certain point where you just know, this is not where I want to be anymore. This looks beautiful. I'm not mad at it, right? But this is not where I'm meant to be. I know that there is another place, another call on my life. There's another level that I'm meant to step into at this point. You just know. And that's where I'm at right now. So while my life does look beautiful on the outside, and there's a lot of things that I have to be grateful for, I can still choose to move forward. Right? Because since when does settling mean good enough, or when does settling become enough? Who said that settling is enough? I don't want good enough. I want amazing. I want beautiful. I want extraordinary. I want miraculous. Yeah? And so if you're at that place also, I feel you. But what I want to say is that there's so much that God can do in such a small amount of time. God can catapult you into an entirely new level in the snap of a finger, in the blink of an eye. I really want you to grab a hold of this energy of instantly, instantaneous, expeditious. I used to think that wasn't really a word. My pastor used to say that all the time, and I was like, did he make that word up? He'd always say expeditiously. I always thought that was such a funny word. But no, he wasn't making it up. It's a real word, okay? God can do things expeditiously, instantaneously, miraculously, supernaturally, and it can be accelerated. Things that you thought were going to take years to do can be instantaneous. And I know I'm feeling this energy for a reason, because God is about to do something crazy, and I want to be able to say, I told y'all. I want to make sure that I put it on record so I can be like, see, I knew it, because I know how my God works. This has happened many times in my life. One of the biggest times was back in 2014 when I had one of the biggest up levels of my life. It's still yet to be one of the biggest up levels. Past tense. It was one of the biggest up levels, but there's a new up level happening. So this one is about to be the biggest up level of my life so far, because I still believe in constant up leveling, constant miracles, things happening continuously, consistently, right? But back in 2014, after losing everything, and there was a slow progression at first, from maybe 2010 to 2013. But in 2014, God was like, okay, let's kick this thing up a notch. That's where we're at right now, okay? I started learning about the law of attraction in February of 2014. And I remember in May of that year, and I share this in great detail in one of my very first videos I have on a gray sweatshirt, where I talked about how I manifested my dream life in 6 months. I want you to know that God can do more in 6 months than you can do in 6 years and even 6 decades of your life, on your own. You just got to get tapped in. You just got to get connected to the source. And then not only connect with him, but get so connected with him that you become one with him. That you know that everything that you're meant to do is going to be done. It's already done. So back in 2014, I remember around May, because at first I started feeling better on the inside. You know, I could feel that things were shifting. I don't know, it was interesting. But then it got crazy, right? Like things just started going nuts and my car started breaking down every day. In the car rider line, picking up my kids at the grocery store. And in May in Charleston, it's hot, okay? So that doesn't work here. It got to a point where my husband and I started having conversations like, okay, we need to buy a new car because this isn't going to work. Well, first of all, let me say this. A car was one of the first things I had on my vision board, on my little list of things that I wanted to manifest, whatever I was doing at that time. So we were talking about it, and we had talked about it, but it was just like, yeah, I don't want a car payment. That was his thing. Like, I know we need another car. I just don't want to deal with the car payment. And I was just like, well, I want another car. So I started, quote unquote, manifesting my car. I don't remember exactly what I was doing. It's not important right now because that's not the point of the story. But if you want to hear more details, you can go and listen to the full video. I'll make sure I link it at the end of this one. But as I started to get into the feeling, right, I was just like, I remember one of the things I learned in The Secret, they were like, pretend like you're driving a new car when you're driving the old one. And I would get into the old car and I'd just be like, ooh, I love my new car so much. You know, I rub the steering wheel and I was just feeling into it, right? And then all of a sudden, the car that I had for about 5 years started breaking down. I had never had problems with this car ever. Never had a problem with it. And all of a sudden it was breaking down like once a week. And I was just like, what is this? I'm here dreaming about the new car and the old one is turning on me. Like, you know, but remember, I asked for a new car. And instead of me just choosing, okay, well, it's time for a new car, I'm gonna go buy one, I was negotiating with my husband about whether we wanted to have a car payment or not. And God was over there like, hey, you asked for this, didn't you? Let's go. Oh, okay, you need me to push you there. Oh, okay, well then here you go. You still want to hold on to this one? Oh, okay, yeah. Did you still want to hold on to this one? Right? And so it just got more and more clear and evident, like, okay, yeah, I don't want to hold on to this one. And then one day he was just like, all right, let's just get the freaking car. Well, yeah, exactly. So that was the quote unquote first manifestation. And then we manifested a house in July. We started building the house. And then we manifested money. And then my husband got like a raise and a bonus and a promotion. And then there were other things that just kept happening until December. I was looking at my life and it was completely different. I had moved into my house. I had started my coaching business. I had a new car, like within 6 months. So, and the reason why I really look at July as the big point is because July is when we first started looking at houses. And it took time to be built, obviously, but we would have had it before that. So it really doesn't even take 6 months. But there was something that was really sweet about that July point on to December. It was just magical. There were so many things that transpired. Like even when we went to buy the house and there was a lady, she was extremely persistent. The sales lady, she would not take no for an answer. We're just like, yeah, we're not ready. We're just looking. We're really not thinking about buying a house today. She was on us constantly. And it was just like, lady, let up. We are not ready to buy a house yet. But no, she was like, well, what's stopping you? And we're just like, well, we're still working on our credit. We're still doing all these things. And we're just not quite ready. And she was just like, well, if you reach out to the mortgage lender that we use, a lot of times they'll tell you what you need to do and they'll tell you how to get going or whatever. So we were just like, okay, fine, whatever. So this was Sunday that we first started looking at the house. And then for some reason, she asked us to come back on Monday to look at lots after we looked at a house in another neighborhood. And we were just like, how are we supposed to afford this? This is the biggest, most expensive house in this neighborhood. And she sent us to another neighborhood so we could see the house like actually built because they had a model of the house. So we went to look at that one. And then she was like, when you get finished looking at that one, come back and let's look at lots. We looked at lots, decided on a lot, like we were really going to buy a house. And this is the thing. Remember, I always get, I get an attitude when I be like, we're not talking about acting as if, we're talking about being as if. This is us being as if like on accident. We're not even trying to do this. Like we weren't even, what's the word that I want? We weren't even conscious of this. Like we weren't even we were obviously taking action. And this is why I tell you, don't let people tell you can't quote unquote sit around and meditate and manifest, because you can. Because what happens is you'll be driven to action, even when you don't even know what to do, even when you're not even planning to do it. We looked at these houses online and we were like, oh, this is a decent neighborhood. Let's go check out this house. We went to look at a particular house. And as soon as we walked into it, we were like, this is not the house. This is way too small. This is not going to work for our 5-person family at the time because we hadn't had my youngest daughter yet. But like I said, this is Sunday that we get to the neighborhood. Monday, we come back to look at lots for some odd reason. We choose a lot. This is us being as if unconsciously, we're not even trying to be as if. We're not saying, oh, let's fake it till we make it. Let's be, well, I guess we were when we came to the neighborhood, but this was too far. Like, this was further than we were willing to go, or we had even planned to go. Thursday, we were signing contracts for our house. Mortgage lender didn't care at all. Gave 0 F's about what was on our credit. They were like, you're ready. There's nothing you need to do right now. We got everything else covered. And around October, we started seeing things disappear from our credit. She called one day and asked us about some things, and we were just like, this is the foreclosure that we had. This is, something else that we had, like this other thing, this whatever, this, that we had. All gone. In October, it was gone. Just in time to close on our house. When we closed on our house in December, walked away with a check for $900 and something, almost $1,000. We didn't pay 1 cent in closing costs. We didn't pay 1 cent down. And we walked away from the closing table with a check. Editing really quick just to add here too, that one thing that I always keep forgetting to mention, I forgot to mention it in the first video, the one that I told you where I told the whole story, and in this one. But one of the most important things that I wanted you to know about that situation is that the lady, persistent little lady who was selling us the house, halfway, and I wouldn't even say halfway, like a month or two into the process of building, because, you have to come back and forth to the property. Sometimes you have to come back and discuss certain things. You pick out your different things inside your house, whatever. So when we came back and we started the building process, that lady was gone. Like, there was a whole other lady there. When we asked what happened to her, they just told us that she was moved to a different neighborhood. So I'm not saying that couldn't have happened with anybody else. I'm just saying that I believe that that lady was placed there specifically because maybe somebody else wouldn't have been as persistent. Maybe somebody else would have looked at us and not really thought twice about it and been like, yeah, okay, you're not ready, cool. You get what I'm saying? Maybe she was just a good salesperson, but I don't look at anything as coincidence, especially not when you're in those types of situations. That lady walked us through that process, and she made sure that we didn't limit ourselves. She made sure that we didn't talk ourselves out of it. She was very, very persistent. Oh, come back tomorrow and look at lots. Oh, why don't you go look at the neighborhood where the model is so you can see the house, the actual house, like you can walk through it, you can sit in it, all of those things. And I want to show you something else with that too, because notice how the only thing that was really holding us back in the car situation, in the house situation, and most of the time in any situation, if we're being honest, is us, right? The car took longer than it needed to take because of the negotiations that were going on behind the scenes. Oh, I don't want a car payment. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. Same thing with the house. It was just like, oh, we're not ready yet. We have all these things we need to work on our credit. But it didn't matter because the foreclosure that we had in 2008 was still on our credit report, and it disappeared in October. Disappeared. And just to note, 2008 was when we had the foreclosure. Things typically stay on your credit 7-ish years or whatever. That was year 6. It disappeared. Now, I'm going to tell you that a lot of that was fear. Fear of getting rejected. Fear of them telling us we couldn't do it. Fear of even losing the house again. I remember the first few years in our house, we celebrated literally every year that we made it another year because we didn't even make a first year in our first house before it was foreclosed. And remember, we talked about future projecting, right? Putting things off into the future. Oh, maybe later, maybe 10 years down the road. And how long are you going to do that? How long are you going to negotiate? Instead of just knowing and trusting that I've put this petition before God, and I trust God to work out the details. It's not my job to figure out how. It's just my job to know what I want, to be who I'm meant to be, to stand in my power, to know that I'm one with source and that I can create whatever it is that I'm working to create. Everything I want is possible, and in most cases, inevitable. So what's the issue? Don't talk yourself out of your miracles. Back to the original audio. I'm telling you this because I want you to see how quickly God can do things, how fast your life can turn around. At the end of 2013, none of this stuff was my reality. By the end of 2014, actually, the first 4 or 5 months of 2014, none of this stuff was my reality. It wasn't until May that we bought the car. May or June, I think it was. Might have been June, honestly, because I think school was already out by then. So I'm pretty sure it probably was June that we got the new car. July that we started building the house. And then all the other things that started to happen after that just came out of nowhere. Because what happened was we made a decision unconsciously. I really want you to get that. If we did all this stuff unconsciously, imagine what you can do consciously. Imagine what you can do with the information that you know already. And then imagine what you could do with the information that I want to teach you in the Miraculous Millionaire Realm. It takes all of this to an entirely new level. I've been creating like this for over a decade, out of the blue, out of thin air. Like, it doesn't even make sense. Money, I don't want to, exaggerate and say money falls out the sky, but it gets like that. That's how crazy of a manifester I am. And sometimes I don't talk about it enough. I don't share it enough. I don't tell people about the things that God has done in my life enough. But I'm telling you now, because when God told me that I was going to become a millionaire in January, he told me to take as many women as I could with me. And I know that I'm not the only person called to this. So if you are feeling called to miracles this year, millions in miracles this year, like, this is the year of millions in miracles. This is a new era that we're stepping into. This is not something that I'm telling you just to be popular. None of that. That's not what this is. Because guess what? I'm going to be a millionaire regardless. But if you want to go, if you feel like this is your call, I want you to go with me. I want us to become millionaires together. Because I know that there's something extraordinary on the other side of this year. Even if this first 6 months did not look the way you wanted it to look, the first 6 months of 2014 didn't look the way I wanted to look either. As a matter of fact, stuff got worse before it got better. And like I said, because I was already doing a lot of inner work, I could see things in my inner world getting better, but there were things that were falling apart as well. And it was just like, what is this? I know this works. I'm not crazy. I believe that this is real. I know that it is. I got to turn this little heater off, even though I'm in Charleston in the summer and it's probably 90 something degrees outside, but everybody in my house likes it Arctic. And so I stay in my room with my little heater on. But anyway, when I tell you, it didn't make sense how much things were turning upside down, but then I was so carefree. I didn't care. Like, it was just like, okay, the car is breaking down again. But I didn't lose faith. I didn't lose hope. I kept moving. I kept trusting. I kept believing. I knew a little bit about surrender then, but I wouldn't have been able to articulate it to you in that way. But I kept surrendering. God, I know that I'm not crazy. I believe that this is true. I don't believe these people are making this stuff up. Now, some people might believe that, and if that's what you believe, then this ain't your message. You know what I'm saying? Like, manifestation is real. And I had a lot of questions. I got a Christian background, so I was just like, I don't know. There was a part of me that was like, I don't know, but there was a part of me that was like, nah, I think I really believe in this. I really think this is real. And so it took me a minute to really get comfortable with it, but I knew, I believed it. And I also believed that God brought me to it. So what I want you to know, and the point that I really want to make in this audio, is God can do miracles instantaneously. It doesn't take him any time. God doesn't work on time. Time doesn't exist in God's world. Time doesn't exist in the 5D. And if that's where you live, now granted, people are going to tell you, get out of the clouds and come back down to I'm never on the ground. I'm a Pisces. I'm always in the clouds. And I like it up here. I like being in my little world in the clouds. Everybody else, yeah, you be realistic. Yeah, you look at it this way. You do logic. I don't do logic. I don't believe in logic. I believe in miracles. I believe in God. And here's another thing, because I've been seeing this a lot. I literally just heard somebody say it earlier when I was listening to one of my mentors, and she was like, stop waiting on miracles and create what you want. And I heard another girl, she did a whole video about this. And these are people that I really enjoy watching and look up to. But I was getting a little salty about these messages about miracles, because I'm like, this is what I do. I'm all about the miracles, okay? But the problem is that people are viewing miracles in the wrong way. This girl had this video and she was just like, stop. I want to say she said the same type of thing. Stop depending on miracles. Start creating consistency. Well, who's to say that miracles can't be consistent? See, the thing about miracles is that they should be so normal in your life. Like, there's a quote in the Course in Miracles that says, miracles are normal. And when they are not happening, something has gone wrong. Like, miracles should be happening in your life every day. You yourself are a freaking miracle. So then miracles should always be happening in your world and in your life. And if they're not happening, something's up. Okay? It's not always necessarily bad either, because sometimes miracles stop or slow down because there's something that we're moving through, like right now. You know, the people who are listening to me, I believe that we're all in a similar space where things might look a little crazy right now. Just like it did in May and June of 2014, before everything broke through. And then it was miracle after miracle after miracle after miracle. And I could not keep up. So I want you to know that God can do exceedingly and abundantly above all that you could ever ask, think, or imagine, especially in this season, because this is a year of acceleration. This is an era of millions and miracles. This is a season of favor, of overflow. Like, I need you to get this message. I need you to grab a hold of this thing. It's not just possible, it's inevitable. I need you to know that this is what's coming for you. If you have done the work, if you felt like I've been working for the past, I don't know how long now, And I don't understand why the things that I know are meant for me are not coming. God, you showed me this vision and I don't see the reality looking like what I know this vision is that you showed me. This reality is not matching the vision. I need you to show me something different. I need you to show me something tangible. But you also have to see it for yourself. God says, I'm doing a new thing. Do you not perceive it? I don't care whether you can see it with your physical eyes. I don't care whether you see it in the 3D or not. You need to see it with your spiritual eyes. You need to perceive it. You need to know with absolute certainty that this thing is unfolding exactly the way it's meant to. And it might not look the way I want it to look right now. But like I said, with the miracles slowing down back in May or whenever it was of 2014, the miracles were there, but they were being held up because of these conversations about whether we want a car payment or not. And honestly, that's never my conversation, because my conversation is always, I get the car without a car payment. It can be just given to me. I don't have a preference. I don't care how it comes. I just let God be God. I don't need to worry about God's job. I don't need to work out the details. That's the problem with people. We're always trying to micromanage God and micromanage the miracles. And then we wonder why miracles seem like something that only happens sporadically or periodically. No, they should be happening all day, every day in your life, because they're always circulating around you. You are a miracle. Therefore, miracles should be happening to you all the time. Miracles should be your baseline. And when you start believing that, when you start speaking that, and then when you start seeing it too, before you see it, right? When you start seeing it with your spiritual eyes and not letting the 3D tell you that it's not true, and not letting the 3D tell you that you're not who you are, that you're not one with source. As a matter of fact, you are the source who creates. You are the author and the creator of your reality. You are the authority in your life. You get to choose. Everything happens at the speed of choice. You do need to decide, okay? This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm having. Surrender. Okay. But even if that's not your will, God, thy will be done. This or something better, right? That's what surrender looks like in this process. And then you embody, you be it. Yeah. You sit and meditate, right? You sit and meditate. You sit and talk to God. You sit in prayer. You sit still. That's a part of the surrender process too, but that's also a part of the embodiment process. It's also a part of the decision process, honestly, because it's you being source. I don't need to seek. I don't need to run after stuff. I don't need to rush ahead of God. God and I are one. So I can sit here in the discomfort and trust that everything is still unfolding exactly the way it's meant to. That miracles are happening even if I can't see them. So miracles should be happening to you all day, every day. It's what happens when you're a miraculous being, when you are a miraculous woman, when you are a miraculous millionaire. It's just what is happening. Right? It just is what it is. There's nothing else to talk about. So you just be that. You be one with source. You be whatever it is that God is calling you to be that day, whether it's to do whatever work you do online, if that's what you do, or go to your regular job, if that's what you do, or taking care of your family, no matter what it is, you be in the energy of the miraculous millionaire. So, for example, if you have a job that you don't love, you be the miraculous millionaire. You be your best self. You put your best foot forward until you know it's time for you to go. And then you be it by leaving. But make sure you get that clearance from God. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you're doing things in the right order. Because if you rush ahead and jump out of something that you shouldn't have jumped out of, you're just going to jump back into it in a different way. Or you're going to cause more problems and turmoil for yourself. Ask me how I know. Okay, so I'm done because I'm going to make this message way too long. And like I tell you, when I don't come in with notes or a specific direction, I can go all over the place, which this message probably was all over the place. But I hope that it blessed you, and I hope that you get to see the three main things that I wanted to share with you in this message. God is a God of acceleration, of speed, of instantaneous miracles and blessings and overflow and all of it. God can do more in 6 months than you can do in 6 years, and even 6 decades, okay? Trust God. Allow God to move on your behalf. Stop micromanaging God. Also, that God can do exceedingly and abundantly above all that you could ever ask, think, or imagine. So no matter what it is that you've asked for, expect God to exceed it. And then expect him to do it expeditiously, okay? And the last thing, miracles are normal. Expect them. Expect miracles. You are a miraculous being. Therefore, miracles are your baseline. Miracles are your birthright. Miracles are your inheritance. And because this is the era of millions in miracles, you should be expecting that too. And if you want support with any of this, that is what the Miraculous Millionaire Realm is for. Come join me. Okay, we're going to spend this last 6 months of the year being the millionaire now, being the miraculous millionaire that God called us to be, so that we can see that manifest in our outer reality, so that we can experience it in the 3D. Those of you who are on your way in or ready to come in, let's go, okay? Let's do this. Let's make 2026 the year of millions and miracles, all right? If you've listened this far, please like, subscribe, hit that little notification bell. Let YouTube know that you want to see the next audio when it is dropped, all right? I love you guys so much. I hope you're having a beautiful, extraordinary, miraculous day wherever you are in the world. Mwah. Lots of love and miracles.